to the No Spin News for Monday, April 15th, 2024, tax day. Stand up for your country. Well, that was a fast week in Europe, wasn't it? Did you miss me? I had a great trip. Wrote about it on BillO'Reilly.com column. We're in the island of Malta. And, I had to change planes and stuff like that. It was a really interesting trip, though. I got a lot out of it. We had a lot of fun. As you may know, every 2 years I go with all my thug friends to another location around the world. These are guys, some of them I've known since I'm 6 years old. And we have a lot of laughs. So it was a very good adventure. We will tell you about it in the final thought. Now, the lead story tonight is a little bit different. I'm going to get to Iran. I'm going to get to the Trump trial. I'm going to get to all of that. But as you probably know, we have just finished writing Confronting the Presidents, a big new book, which will be out on September 10th. And in that book, we tell you what the presidents, all of them, did good and bad. And tonight I'm going to present to you the three biggest blunders, presidential blunders in American history. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So I learned a lot writing this book. And when we got all the information, you could then compare and contrast different presidents and what they did. So the third worst blunder in American history was committed by James Madison. Okay? Now you remember that Madison took over after Thomas Jefferson. And at the time he took over, America was still very weak. It didn't have a big army or navy. It was moving west at a slow pace. It was established as a democracy, but we really didn't have a lot of power here. The British knew that, and they were boarding American sea vessels, and they were kidnapping men and impressing them, not impressing like somebody does something good. Impressment means they're forcing them into the British Navy. It was outrageous. It was an absolute outrage. Now, that began in 1811, and it went on and on and on and on. And finally, Congress said to Madison, hey, you got to do something about this. So Madison foolishly declared war on Great Britain. Now, why do I say foolishly? We were right to do it. We just didn't have the Navy. So when we looked into this, the war was going to be fought on the seas mostly because we couldn't invade England. We didn't have the power to do that. And the British did have the power to invade us, which they did. But here was the big stat. So the USA at the time basically had 12 warships. 12. The British had 34. Okay? So the British just came on in and they burned down Washington, D.C., including the White House, causing Jemmy Madison, that's what his nickname was, to run for his life. And they burned the whole town down. Now, subsequently, the British got tired of fighting this war because Andrew Jackson kicked their butt in New Orleans after the war treaty was signed, and Admiral Perry beat them in the Great Lakes. But this was a war that never should have been fought that way. Okay? They should have built their Navy. Madison should have built the U.S. Navy up first. That was a colossal blunder. In the end, there were significant casualties, all right? Americans lost 2,260 dead and 4,500 wounded, and plus, all the other casualties that nobody even counts. British had substantial casualties as well, about 5,000 dead and wounded on the British side. All right, that's blunder number one. Blunder number two is the Vietnam War. Now, this is an amazing thing. I lived through this, so I'm very, very interested. So in November 1963, John F. Kennedy is assassinated in Dallas. Before he was killed, he wrote an order that the U.S. would withdraw its forces from Vietnam over a period of time. Kennedy did not want to fight that war, primarily because Dwight Eisenhower, who Kennedy used as a secret advisor, the president before Kennedy, said, stay out of this one. Okay, this is in Korea. This is a whole different ballgame. As soon as Lyndon Johnson took over Kennedy, he rescinded the order and flooded Vietnam with American forces. But Johnson had no strategy. Okay, there was no war strategy to win this. And Johnson lied to the American people by saying that the North Vietnamese were attacking us when Johnson himself didn't believe that. And we will prove that in confronting the president. So this is an enormous blunder that resulted in almost 60,000 Americans being killed, many of them draftees. And we're not even counting the Agent Orange afterward. And more than 100,000 wounded, over there, and badly. This, for what? Okay, now, the communists lost more than 1 million, but so what? The communists were the invaders. They did invade. It was their fault, not ours. We were trying to defend the South Vietnamese who didn't want to be communists, just like we defended the South Koreans. It was the same thing, but we didn't have any strategy to win the Vietnam War. So at the end, and it lasted on and on and on and on. We're talking 1963 to 1975, 12 years. What a blunder. Johnson didn't know what he was doing. And he had to quit. He had to resign because it was so it divided America. It was like, but when you see how befuddled and ridiculous Lyndon Johnson was during that, it's just crazy. Now, why isn't that the biggest blunder in American history? Because Joe Biden has topped it. He has topped it with the open border. So the worst blunder in American history is opening the southern border for no reason whatsoever. Remember, there is no reason that President Biden destroyed immigration law. None. There's no benefit to us. That's the first thing. So we estimate, and we're pretty responsible here, that in the almost 3.5 years Biden's been president, more than 10 million foreign nationals have crossed into this country, and now they're here unsupervised. We don't know where they are or what they're doing. The courts have collapsed. They can't hear the asylum cases. Crime is on the rise in many places. And don't give me this, Americans commit more crimes than the migrants do. Oh, so what? You add the migrant crime to the problem we have. That's ridiculous. Okay, so not only that, but we're locking in now in 3.5 years under Biden, the cost of this illegal migration that, again, the president did alone, no Congress, none of that, is now $500 billion, $500 billion. And that's federal, state, and local. And every day it just explodes because it's still happening. There is no modification at the border, none. And Biden has a nerve to blame Republicans for that when the bill that they offered up, Schumer's bill, was ridiculous and wouldn't have stopped anything. It's unbelievable. So you add to the unsupervised migrants, and these hundreds of people on the terror watch list are here, according to Homeland Security, running around. Nobody knows what they're going to do. The drugs. The last year of Trump, 93,331 ODs, okay? Under Biden, okay, close to 400,000. And that's not even close to being the real number, because they only count that if you drop dead with a needle in your arm, okay? AIDS, other diseases, people who do not report, they're too embarrassed to do that. All these people aren't autopsied that are keeling over in the street. So I estimate that under Biden, on the record, it's 400,000 OD deaths. I estimate it's probably 750,000. And there has never been a time in our history there's been more dangerous drugs on the street, ever. And again, we go back to, there's no reason for this. Biden did not have to open the border, and he did. It is the biggest blunder from a president in American history. And that's a memo. Everything is expensive these days, you know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall and lose its coveted role as the world reserve currency. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. So please call or text them right now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Let's go to the mail. Kathleen, concierge member. Very important that you consider concierge membership because if you get into trouble, we will give you good advice, honest advice. And you will not get that with our experience. Okay, concierge membership, BillO'Reilly.com. President Trump has a crooked judge heading his trial in New York. Not going to recuse himself, not allowing Trump to talk about his daughter's affiliation with the Dems and Kamala, not allowing the jury to answer who they vote for, what party they belong to. All true. And that's why Donald Trump cannot get a fair trial in New York City. Jerry Rivas, Lake Worth, Florida. Hey, Bill, I believe Joe Biden is as bad as Putin. Putin invaded Ukraine, killed thousands, and Biden allows the invasion of the U.S. that has killed thousands. What say you? No. Biden's not as bad as Putin. Putin is a sociopath, a maniac who, if the world blew up, wouldn't care. That's how bad he is. Steve Marriott, Nova Scotia, Canada, one of my favorite parts of Canada, Nova Scotia, beautiful. Can you explain, O'Reilly, what the scenario would be if RFK Jr. wins the election? I know it's remote, but how would that work? RFK, okay. So you know, it's not going to happen. But if an independent candidate, not a party member, gets to be president, everything's the same. Legislation is introduced by either party in Congress. If it passes, the president gets to sign it, or not, or veto it. That's what it would be. There wouldn't be any difference. Lorraine Connolly Walker, Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. For the 8th year, I have renewed my premium membership. Well, thank you, Lorraine. That's kind of you. Worth the course just in the Smart Life segment. Sparkling ice, my go-to drink, and your airline tips have saved me a bundle. Smart Life is one of my favorite segments. You know, I think the Talking Points memo is my favorite, but Smart Life, because we can do a lot of good things in that segment. Sparkling ice, by the way, knocks the sugar out of your beverages, and it tastes good. I had some yesterday. Mike McGuire, Ferndale, Washington. Hey, Bill, I just want to thank you for your tip on insurance. I recently talked with an actual person at Policy Genius. They gave me a rate half of what I was paying on my house, auto, and RV. I couldn't believe it. Policy Genius, here you go. Robert Fox, Little Neck, New York. You have stated that the worst U.S. president was James Buchanan. What could he have done to stop our Civil War? This is why you want to pre-order Confronting the Presidents. I explained in great detail. I can't do it here. I tell you that Buchanan was a coward and was incredibly inept, but I'll give you details in that book. There you go. Worst president ever. Biden number 2. Cindy West, Bowling Green, Kentucky. I am retiring from teaching after 33 years. One of my goals is to read all the killing books. Which order should I read them? Now, I've done this. I know you can't all watch, but if you are premium and concierge members, you get transcripts. Just punch up O'Reilly killing books, what order, and boom, you get the transcript. So all I'm going to say to you is, number 1, I appreciate you reading the books. Number 2, you begin with Killing the Witches, the book that's out now, because that's the Pilgrims and all of that very, very early. Then you go to killing England, the Revolutionary War. Then you go to killing Lincoln, the Civil War, and on and on and on and on. Okay. Christine Baker, Stockton, California, thank you for sharing your Malta adventure. About your age, I might be one of the few to know about Malta. A boss of mine visited there in 1967. He told me about the siege during World War II. You see evidence of that today. I stayed in the hotel, the Phoenician, by far the best hotel on the island, where the British had their headquarters when the Nazis bombed for almost 2 years. Nazis never got to Malta. Okay? They held out. It was a fortress. When you go to Malta now, you don't see the damage from World War II, but you see the fortress and all the fortifications because they have war after war after war after war, beginning way back with the Phoenicians, which is why the hotel is named that. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more on the Malta trip as far as policy is concerned, and final thought, which is coming up. We have a brand new mug. Get at that. Mother's Day coming up. Not woke. Not woke. Now, if it's my mom, I'm buying both not woke and self-reliance, 2 of them, for mom or dad on their days. I'm getting 2. Not woke. What a message, right? Okay, we also have a Father's Day book bundle that you can give to mom. We got Killing the Witches, The Legends, The Killers, The Mob, Crazy Horse for 33% off. Big bundle, great gift. And Confronting the President, we just mentioned, we don't have to do it again. And word of the day, no drivel, D-R-I-V-E-L. When writing to me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Name and town. If you wish to opine, right back with the final thought. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation supports America's greatest heroes, U.S. service members, and first responders who gave their lives, those catastrophically injured in the line of duty, and homeless vets. The Foundation's Gold Star Fallen First Responder and Homeless Vet programs honor the sacrifices made by men who fought and died for us, and women who risked their lives for our country as well. The Foundation's Never Forget program engages people in 9/11 remembrances across America with more than 80 runs, walks, and dozens of golf outings every year. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute educates kids from kindergarten through 12th grade about America's darkest day, while helping our nation keep its vow to never forget. So please support Tunnel to Towers. Donate $11 a month. Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. More than 95 cents of every dollar you donate to Tunnel to Towers goes to its programs. That's T, the number 2, another T.org. Okay, final thought of the day, Malta. So I'm over there and everybody knows me. And the reason they know me is because of YouTube. All right? So when I was on Fox News Channel, we weren't in most European countries. But now on YouTube, we're all over the world. So I met with the defense minister, which was a very interesting meeting. And the Maltese were asking me about America. Now, Joe Biden, cipher. Nobody even asked me about him. And he's not in the news. But Trump, and I wrote this in a column. I have a column on Malta. Trump, they liked the way he handled foreign policy when he was president. They did not like the global warming stuff. So it's a division. They don't care much about his personality because Malta is a very flamboyant island. I mean, it really is. A lot of stuff going on there. Now, the Maltese have banned illegal immigration. How did they do that? If you show up in Malta and the millions of people are coming from North Africa, it's only 175 miles from North Africa to Malta. But they don't stop in Malta. The smugglers don't even bother because if the Maltese authorities find you, and they will, because it's such a small island, you go to detention for 8 months before any hearing. And the hearing is guaranteed to deport you. So you're sitting there for 8 months. So nobody goes there. They all go to Italy. And Italy is besieged. So is Greece. So are most EU nations. Remember, Malta's in the EU, smallest country. Don't have any illegal immigration problem there. None. Because of that policy. So that was something to see. No messing around. Guns, they find a gun on you, unless you have a hunter's license, you find a handgun, you're in jail for a long time. No gun crime. So a lot of Americans don't like that. Don't move to Malta. Anyway, I had a great time. Good seeing my longtime friends, the Men of Adventure. It was a very interesting place to go. There I am under a statue of St. Paul, who was shipwrecked. But read my column. All right, it's on BillO'Reilly.com. And I'm lucky to be able to do all this stuff. I really am. I never take it for granted. And I don't take you for granted. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. We'll see you tomorrow. As you know, Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best sleep of your life. His famous Giza Dream Sheets are the best sheets you will ever sleep on. For a limited time, get a queen size set for $59.98. King size just $69.98. These are the lowest prices in MyPillow's history. Mike and MyPillow employees continue to be canceled by some big box stores and attacked by the media. They appreciate your great support during these times and want to thank you by giving you free shipping on your entire order today. So please go to mypillow.com or call 800-869-0298. Use promo code BILL. You get the famous Giza Dream Sheets at the lowest prices, so call 800-869-0298 or go to mypillow.com, promo code BILL, to get free shipping today.